The Silent Watchers. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the stealth ship Nightshade, watching the massive Arcturian warships patrol what was once human space. 10 years had passed since the supposed extinction of humanity, yet here she was, part of the resistance that refused to die. The Arcturians, with their crystalline technology and devastating energy weapons, had seemed unstoppable during the initial invasion. They had broadcast their victory across every frequency, declaring humanity extinct after the fall of Earth. But they were wrong. Signal from Shadow Base. Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez whispered from his communication station. They've confirmed the pattern. The Arcturians are pulling ships from the outer colonies. Sarah nodded, her expression grim. For 3 years, their network of stealth ships had been gathering intelligence, watching as the Arcturian Empire slowly grew complacent in their victory. The crystalline aliens believed their superiority was absolute, never imagining that humans could adapt their own technology to become virtually undetectable. Tracking 5 capital ships leaving the Proxima system, reported Diana Wells, their sensor specialist. They're consolidating their forces around their core worlds, just as we predicted. Sarah moved to the tactical display, studying the movement patterns. The Arcturians were facing internal pressures. Their vast empire was becoming too expensive to maintain. They had stripped Earth and the colonies of resources, but their crystalline technology required constant energy to maintain their unified consciousness network. Send the data to Sanctuary, Sarah ordered. They need to know the window is opening. Sanctuary. The word held special meaning for every survivor. When the Arcturians had first attacked, humanity had appeared defenseless against their advanced technology. But appearances could be deceiving. Deep in unexplored space, through a hidden quantum tunnel discovered decades before the invasion, nearly 2 million humans had escaped to build a new civilization. The bridge crew worked in practiced silence as they compiled their intelligence. They weren't just survivors. They were the eyes and ears of humanity's revenge. Each crew member had lost everything to the Arcturians, but their desire for vengeance had been tempered into cold, calculating patience. Commander, Marcus called out, his voice tight with excitement. We're picking up scattered transmissions from Earth. The resistance cells are still active. Sarah moved to his station, reading the decoded messages. The Earth resistance had managed to hack into the Arcturian communication network, feeding false data to make their occupation more costly. But more importantly, they had discovered something crucial about their enemies. The crystalline network, Sarah murmured, reading the technical data. It's becoming unstable. They can't maintain synchronization across such vast distances. She allowed herself a small smile. That's why they're consolidating their forces. The Arcturians had believed their crystalline technology made them invincible. By linking their consciousness into a vast network, they could coordinate their forces with perfect efficiency. But they had never needed to maintain that network across an empire this large before. Signal from the Phantom, Diana reported. They've confirmed similar force movements in the Centauri sector. The pattern is consistent across all monitored regions. Sarah returned to the viewport, watching the alien ships glide through space. The Arcturians had thought themselves the perfect species, unified, crystalline beings of pure energy and thought. They had seen humanity's individualistic nature as a weakness, never understanding that it was their greatest strength. Send our final confirmation to Sanctuary, Sarah ordered. The Arcturians are vulnerable. Operation Daybreak can begin. As the Nightshade's quantum encrypted message was transmitted through their secret relay network, Sarah thought about the massive shipyards hidden in the Sanctuary system. For 10 years, humanity had been building, adapting, and improving. They had learned from their defeats, studied their enemy, and prepared for this moment. The Arcturians believed they had exterminated humanity, but they had only forced them to evolve. Now, as their empire showed its first signs of weakness, they would learn why humanity had survived countless challenges throughout its history. Message sent, Marcus confirmed. Sanctuary acknowledges. They're initiating final preparations. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the Arcturian ships. They had no idea what was coming. Humanity wasn't just going to reclaim their worlds. They were going to reshape the galaxy itself. "Now we wait," she said softly. "And soon, we'll show them why humanity never stays defeated." Project Phoenix. Deep within the Sanctuary system, Admiral David Patel stood before the massive holographic display, showing humanity's greatest achievement, the Phoenix fleet. 3,000 ships of varying sizes filled the sprawling shipyards, each incorporating technology that would have seemed impossible just a decade ago. "Final system checks are complete," reported Dr. Emily Wong, chief engineer of the project. "The quantum distortion drives are performing beyond specifications. The Arcturians won't know what hit them." David watched as another cruiser completed its test maneuvers. The ships were beautiful in their efficiency, sleek designs that incorporated both human ingenuity and reversed-engineered Arcturian technology. But their true power lay in what couldn't be seen. "Show me the Aegis system," he ordered. The hologram shifted, displaying the revolutionary defense technology that would give them their edge. The Arcturians relied on their crystalline network to coordinate their weapons and shields. Humanity had developed something entirely different. "The adaptive shield matrix is ready," Emily explained, manipulating the display. "Each ship's AI can adjust shield frequencies in nanoseconds, faster than the Arcturian network can compensate. Their energy weapons will be useless." It wasn't just about technology. Every ship in the Phoenix fleet was crewed by volunteers who had trained relentlessly for this moment. They had studied every aspect of Arcturian tactics, learned their weaknesses, and prepared countermeasures for every scenario. "Status report from the surface," announced Captain James Chen, David's aide. "The civilian evacuation is complete. All non-essential personnel are secure in the deep shelters." David nodded grimly. Despite their confidence, they weren't taking any chances. If something went wrong, Sanctuary had to survive. They were humanity's last real stronghold, even if the Arcturians didn't know it existed. "The quantum tunnel network is charged and stable," Emily added. "We can deploy the entire fleet simultaneously through multiple points. The Arcturians won't be able to predict where we'll strike first." That was the key to their strategy. The Arcturians had never encountered an enemy that could match their ability to coordinate forces across vast distances. But humanity had found a different solution, one that didn't rely on a vulnerable crystalline network. "Show me the targeting projections," David ordered. The hologram changed again, displaying a map of Arcturian space. Key military installations, communication hubs, and fleet concentrations were highlighted. But more importantly, it showed the stress points in their crystalline network. "Their network is already fragmenting," Emily explained. "The energy requirements to maintain synchronization across their empire are astronomical. When we strike their primary nodes, the entire system will begin to collapse." David studied the projections carefully. They would only get one chance at this. The Arcturians were powerful, but they had grown overconfident. They had never faced an enemy that could strike simultaneously at multiple points across their empire. "Signal from the Nightshade," James reported. "Commander Chen confirms the Arcturian fleet movements continue as predicted. Their defenses are exactly where we need them to be." David allowed himself a small smile. Sarah Chen had been one of their most effective intelligence gatherers. Her stealth fleet had provided the crucial data they needed to perfect their strategy. "Begin final launch preparations," he ordered. "Notify all ships to commence startup sequences. We move in 12 hours. As the command center erupted into activity, David thought about the journey that had brought them here. 10 years ago, humanity had seemed on the brink of extinction. Now they were about to demonstrate why that had been the Arcturians' greatest mistake. "Message from the Council," James announced. "They've given final authorization. Operation Daybreak is confirmed." David moved to the central command station, watching as status reports flooded in from across the fleet. Every ship was ready. Every crew was prepared. And soon, the Arcturians would learn that humanity was far from extinct. Send the final coded signal to all resistance cells, he ordered. Tell them to be ready. When we strike, we'll need every advantage we can get. The Phoenix fleet was about to rise from the ashes of humanity's supposed defeat, and this time, the galaxy would never be the same. The first strike. The quantum tunnels flared to life across Arcturian space, tearing holes in reality itself. Through these artificial wormholes, humanity's Phoenix fleet emerged simultaneously at 12 critical points throughout the Empire. The element of surprise was total. Captain Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the flagship Prometheus, watching as her battle group materialized near the Arcturians' primary communication hub in the Rigel sector. The crystalline structures of the alien station gleamed against the backdrop of space, its surface crackling with energy. All ships reporting successful transit, Lieutenant Wei announced from Tactical. Adaptive shields at full power, weapon systems online. Maya allowed herself a moment to appreciate the beauty of their plan. The Arcturians had never imagined that humans could master quantum tunnel technology to this degree. Their own crystalline network relied on predictable patterns that were about to be shattered. Enemy vessels detecting our presence, reported Commander Jackson from sensors, reading energy spikes as they power weapons. 8 capital ships moving to intercept. Let them come, Maya ordered, her voice steady. Execute pattern Phoenix 3. The human fleet split into precise formations, executing maneuvers that would have been impossible just years ago. Their ships moved with perfect coordination, but unlike the Arcturians, each captain made independent decisions based on the evolving situation. The first Arcturian energy beams lanced out, only to be absorbed by the adaptive shields. The crystalline ships paused, their network struggling to process this unexpected development. That moment of hesitation was all humanity needed. All ships commenced targeting. Maya commanded, "Fire when ready." The Phoenix fleet's response was devastating. Quantum-tipped missiles phased through Arcturian shields, their warheads designed specifically to disrupt crystalline structures. Plasma beams, modulated to frequencies that the alien network couldn't adapt to, carved through their hulls. Direct hits confirmed, Wei reported, his voice tight with controlled excitement. 3 enemy capital ships disabled. Their network connection is fragmenting. On her tactical display, Maya watched similar scenes playing out across Arcturian space. The Phoenix fleet's simultaneous strikes had overloaded the aliens' ability to coordinate their defenses. Their perfect synchronization was becoming their greatest weakness. Message from Earth Resistance, Commander Jackson announced. They've initiated their attacks on ground installations. Arcturian forces are in chaos. Maya nodded grimly. The resistance cells they'd carefully nurtured over the years were now rising up, targeting key facilities with devastating precision. The Arcturians had never truly secured their conquered territories, believing their technological superiority made them invulnerable. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Wei reported suddenly. Second wave incoming. More human ships emerged from quantum tunnels, led by the massive dreadnought Odyssey. The Arcturian defenders found themselves caught between 2 forces, their crystalline network struggling to process too many threats simultaneously. Status of the communication hub, Maya demanded. Shield integrity failing, Jackson confirmed. Their energy grid is destabilizing. They can't maintain synchronization with their network. This was the key to humanity's strategy. By striking multiple critical nodes simultaneously, they were forcing the Arcturian network to fragment. Without their perfect unity, the crystalline beings were discovering that individual human ships could outmaneuver and outfight them. Incoming transmission, Wei announced. The Arcturians are attempting to communicate. Put it through, Maya ordered, curious despite herself. The alien's voice was a chorus of crystalline tones, but for the first time, there was discord in their unified speech. "This is impossible," they declared. "You were extinct. Your species was eliminated." "You should have made sure," Maya replied calmly. "Humanity doesn't die easily, and we never forget." The battle continued to rage, but its outcome was already decided. Across Arcturian space, their carefully maintained network was coming apart. Centuries of relying on perfect synchronization had left them unable to adapt when that synchronization failed. All ships pressed the advantage, Maya ordered. Don't let them regroup. Keep their network fragmented. The Phoenix fleet moved with practiced precision, each ship acting independently while contributing to the larger strategy. This was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to act as one without sacrificing individual initiative. Arcturian vessels attempting to retreat, Jackson reported. Their formations are breaking down completely. Maya watched as the alien ships scattered, their once perfect coordination shattered. This was only the beginning, but already the message was clear. Humanity had returned, and they had learned from their defeat. Signal all commands, she ordered. Phase 1 is complete. Begin preparations for Phase 2. It's time to show the Arcturians exactly what humanity is capable of. Breaking chains. Earth's night sky blazed with artificial light as Arcturian installations exploded across the surface. Rebecca Martinez, leader of the North American Resistance Cell, watched from her hidden bunker as humanity's liberation fleet descended through the atmosphere. After 10 years of hiding and fighting from the shadows, their time had finally come. Status report from all sectors. She called out to her communications team. Asian resistance cells have disabled the crystalline control towers in Beijing and New Delhi, reported Tom Chen. European forces have taken control of 3 major Arcturian research facilities. African units are securing their resource extraction sites. Rebecca studied the tactical displays showing the worldwide uprising. The Arcturians had never understood why humans continued to resist even after their supposed extinction. They couldn't comprehend that every act of oppression had only made humanity stronger, more determined. Incoming transmission from the Phoenix fleet, Tom announced. Admiral Patel is requesting coordination for the final push. The holographic display flickered to life, showing the Admiral's weathered face. Martinez, good to see you're still fighting. We're deploying ground forces to support your operations. What's the situation? Better than we hoped, Rebecca replied. The Arcturians are in complete disarray. Without their network, they can't coordinate their defensive operations. Their troops are falling back to their primary strongholds. On the tactical display, she could see the Phoenix fleet's dropships landing across the globe, delivering troops and equipment to support the resistance fighters. The Arcturians had never imagined that humans could maintain such an extensive underground network. We're detecting similar uprisings across all occupied colonies, Admiral Patel reported. The Arcturians' control is collapsing everywhere simultaneously. They can't respond fast enough without their network. Rebecca nodded grimly. For 10 years, her resistance cells had gathered intelligence, sabotaged Arcturian operations, and prepared for this moment. Every human who had survived the occupation had become a weapon, waiting to be unleashed. New contact. Tom called out suddenly. Multiple signatures emerging from the lunar bases. Arcturian reinforcements incoming. Rebecca watched as crystalline warships rose from the hidden bases on the moon, their formations already showing signs of disarray. Without their network, they couldn't coordinate effectively, but they were still dangerous. Phoenix fleet engaging, Admiral Patel announced calmly. Continue your ground operations. We'll handle their space forces. The sky lit up with energy weapons as the battle began. But unlike 10 years ago, this time the humans were prepared. The Phoenix fleet's adaptive shields absorbed the Arcturian attacks while their quantum weapons tore through the crystalline ships. All resistance cells. Execute Operation Thunderstrike, Rebecca ordered. This was the moment they had trained for. Across the planet, hidden weapons platforms activated, targeting the Arcturians' remaining ground forces with devastating precision. Message from Asian Command, Tom reported. They've secured the crystalline research facility in Singapore. The data is intact. Everything the Arcturians learned about us, everything they were developing to fight us. Rebecca allowed herself a grim smile. The aliens had spent years studying humanity, trying to understand how to break their spirit permanently. They had never realized they were only making humans more adaptable, more resourceful. European forces reporting success, Tom continued. They've captured 3 Arcturian governors. The aliens are requesting terms of surrender. No terms. Admiral Patel's voice was firm. Not after what they did to our worlds. They surrender unconditionally, or they don't surrender at all. Rebecca understood the Admiral's position. The Arcturians had shown no mercy during their invasion, believing they were creating a perfect order. Now they would learn the cost of their arrogance. New reports coming in from the colonies, Tom announced excitedly. Mars is secured. Luna is falling. The Proxima colonies are rising up. It's happening everywhere. Rebecca moved to the command center's viewport, watching as more Phoenix Fleet ships descended through the clouds. Humanity wasn't just reclaiming their worlds, they were reshaping the galaxy itself. Send word to all cells, she ordered. Push the advantage. Don't let them regroup. After 10 years of hiding, it's time to show the Arcturians why humanity has survived every challenge in our history. The liberation of Earth continued through the night, a cascade of victories that marked the beginning of a new era. The Arcturians had thought themselves invincible in their crystalline perfection. Instead, they had learned why humanity's greatest strength lay in their adaptability, their individual initiative, and their unbreakable spirit. Admiral, Rebecca called out, what's our next target? Everything. Paddle replied simply. We take back everything they stole from us, and then we make sure this never happens again. Dawn of a new era. The crystalline spires of the Arcturian High Council chamber lay shattered, their once perfect geometries reduced to glittering shards. Admiral David Patel stood before the remaining Arcturian leaders, their luminescent forms dimmed in defeat. Behind him, Captain Maya Patel and Commander Sarah Chen represented the fleet that had made this victory possible. You have defeated us. The Arcturian first speaker's harmonics were discordant, their once unified voice now fragmented. How did you achieve this impossibility? You believed unity meant conformity, David replied. That was your first mistake. Human unity comes from our differences, not in spite of them. The chamber's holographic displays showed the current state of the galaxy. Across former Arcturian space, their empire was collapsing. Not all of their subject species had joined the humans in rebellion, but enough had seized the opportunity to break free. The terms of surrender are non-negotiable, Sarah stated, stepping forward. All human worlds are to be immediately relinquished. Your military forces will stand down. Your technology will be examined for any remaining threats to our species. The Arcturians' crystalline forms flickered with what might have been confusion. You could destroy us completely, the first speaker observed. Why offer any terms at all? Because that's another thing you never understood about humanity, Maya answered. We're not interested in extinction, even for those who tried to exterminate us. We're interested in making sure this never happens again. On the displays, the first relief ships were already arriving at the liberated colonies. The Phoenix Fleet had begun shifting from military operations to humanitarian aid, helping to rebuild what the Arcturian occupation had destroyed. Signal from Sanctuary, Sarah reported, checking her datapad. The quantum tunnel network is stable. We can begin large-scale civilian transport back to Earth and the colonies within the week. David nodded. Already, the reports were coming in from across human space. The resistance cells were emerging from hiding, helping to restore order and rebuild infrastructure. Humanity wasn't just reclaiming their worlds. They were making them better than before. There is something we still don't understand, the first speaker said. Our studies of your species showed you to be divided, fragmented. How did you achieve such coordination without a unified consciousness? You spent so much time studying our weaknesses, David replied, that you never truly understood our strengths. Humanity doesn't need a crystalline network to work together. We don't need to think as one to act as one. The holographic displays shifted to show the Phoenix Fleet's shipyards in the sanctuary system. New vessels were already under construction, but these weren't warships. They were exploration vessels designed to push deeper into unknown space. Humanity is expanding again, Maya announced, not as conquerors, but as explorers. And this time, we'll be ready for whatever we find out there. Dawn of a new era. The crystalline spires of the Arcturian High Council chamber lay shattered, their once perfect geometries reduced to glittering shards. Admiral David Patel stood before the remaining Arcturian leaders, their luminescent forms dimmed in defeat. Behind him, Captain Maya Patel and Commander Sarah Chen represented the fleet that had made this victory possible. "You have defeated us." The Arcturian first speaker's harmonics were discordant, their once unified voice now fragmented. "How did you achieve this impossibility?" "You believed unity meant conformity," David replied. "That was your first mistake. Human unity comes from our differences, not in spite of them." The chamber's holographic displays showed the current state of the galaxy. Across former Arcturian space, their empire was collapsing. Not all of their subject species had joined the humans in rebellion, but enough had seized the opportunity to break free. "The terms of surrender are non-negotiable," Sarah stated, stepping forward. "All human worlds are to be immediately relinquished. Your military forces will stand down. Your technology will be examined for any remaining threats to our species." The Arcturians' crystalline forms flickered with what might have been confusion. "You could destroy us completely," the first speaker observed. "Why offer any terms at all?" "Because that's another thing you never understood about humanity," Maya answered. "We're not interested in extinction, even for those who tried to exterminate us. We're interested in making sure this never happens again." On the displays, the first relief ships were already arriving at the liberated colonies. The Phoenix fleet had begun shifting from military operations to humanitarian aid, helping to rebuild what the Arcturian occupation had destroyed. "Signal from Sanctuary," Sarah reported, checking her datapad. "The quantum tunnel network is stable. We can begin large-scale civilian transport back to Earth and the colonies within the week." David nodded. Already, the reports were coming in from across human space. The resistance cells were emerging from hiding, helping to restore order and rebuild infrastructure. Humanity wasn't just reclaiming their worlds, they were making them better than before. "There is something we still don't understand," the first speaker said. "Our studies of your species showed you to be divided, fragmented. How did you achieve such coordination without a unified consciousness?" "You spent so much time studying our weaknesses," David replied, "that you never truly understood our strengths. Humanity doesn't need a crystalline network to work together. We don't need to think as one to act as one." The holographic displays shifted to show the Phoenix Fleet's shipyards in the sanctuary system. New vessels were already under construction, but these weren't warships. They were exploration vessels designed to push deeper into unknown space. "Humanity is expanding again," Maya announced, "not as conquerors, but as explorers. And this time, we'll be ready for whatever we find out there." The Arcturian leaders conferred briefly, their dimmed crystalline forms pulsing with internal light. Finally, the first speaker raised their primary facet in the ancient gesture of absolute surrender. "We accept your terms," they declared. "The human worlds are yours again. But tell us, what becomes of us now?" "Now," David said, "you learn to live in a galaxy where you're not the strongest power, where cooperation matters more than domination, where diversity is strength, not weakness." On Earth, the reconstruction was already beginning. The resistance fighters were emerging from their hidden bunkers, joining with returning colonists to rebuild their cities. But they weren't simply restoring what was lost. They were creating something new. "Commander Chen," David called out, "signal the fleet. Tell them to begin Phase 5, Operation Renaissance." Sarah nodded, transmitting the orders that would transform their military victory into a lasting peace. Across human space, ships began shifting their massive quantum engines from war footing to the enormous task of rebuilding civilization. "It will take time," Maya said, watching the displays. "Years, maybe decades, to heal all the damage. But humanity has something now that we didn't have before." "What's that?" the first speaker asked. "Perspective," David answered. "We've seen what's out there. We've faced extinction and survived. We've learned that our greatest strength isn't in our weapons or our technology. It's in our ability to face any challenge and adapt." The sun was rising over Earth, its light catching the crystalline fragments of the old order. But among the ruins, new growth was already beginning. Humanity had not just survived, they had evolved, becoming something stronger than before. "Send word to all commands," David ordered. "The war is over. Let the next chapter of human history begin." In the centuries to come, historians would mark this as the moment when humanity truly came of age, not just as survivors or warriors, but as architects of a new era in galactic civilization. The Arcturians had tried to exterminate humanity, but instead they had forced them to become something greater than they had ever been before. And in the vast depths of space, the quantum tunnels flickered with constant traffic as humanity began its greatest adventure, not just reclaiming their past, but building their future.